This is another station, but this is how they inspect the brakes normally. So instead of having to get underneath every one of them, we try to do that for them with the camera so that they only inspect the ones they need to. So you can see this is Ridgefield by Portland, Oregon. But the truck's coming in all day long like that. If you only have a few officers, there's no way they can inspect all of them that are coming in. One of the other problems is you get trucks that are really low, they're maybe 6 inches off the ground, and there's no way anybody can get under them. Other trucks are rendering trucks or trucks with chickens in them. They smell horrible. Nobody wants to touch them, so they don't get inspected. The other thing is I can do brakes right now. I can do tires. I can do bearings. I backed off on that and decided just to do the brakes so I could prove that it would work. So my next phase will be to add the bearings and the tires to it. So in the beginning, this is where we were at. This is where Ayers is right now. So this is what it looked like when I started 3 years ago. Just nothing there. And here's kind of getting into it. So when I started doing it, I started looking from the side, and all I could see was through these little holes in the wheels. And if they had holes in them, some of them don't have the holes. Some of them have chrome that are polished, and the reflection off of the camera doesn't work, so I can't read those. And that's why there's two other systems out there that I'm aware of, and they both do it this way. So then I tried using it this way. I put it under the truck and I tried to look across. But the problem is I can see this one, but I can't see the one in front of it. And I can't see in these, so the only one I get to see is that one. So it's really not even as good as that. And then the lady that I report to, my customer, she said, why don't you take in, well, I was teasing the officer that was working with me. I said, lie down, hold the camera, and let him drive over you. He didn't think that was a good idea. And so I told the lady that's my customer, and she suggested that we use the inspection pit. So it's a pit that's about this deep, and down at the Ridgefield station. So we put the camera in there and mounted it on a tripod. So here's the camera, and I just mounted it on a tripod, and the minute we did, and that's what we saw. So you can see in this, well, here's where it was. So he's the guy that was going around the state with me. So we mounted the camera like this, it's under here, and then we had the trucks come in and drive over it. We filled up the parking lot in no time with bad trucks. So if you can see the video, this is kind of what it looks like. So you see the brake here, and then it's getting closer to you, and then it's getting closer. If I'm looking at the side, I only get it to go flash by me with that little hole in the wheel. This way I get a long time to look at it. And there's the camera again. So the next thing I had to do is figure out where do I want to put it. And originally we were going to put it up here, and we were going to put one on each side and one on each side, so it would have been 4 cameras. The cameras run about $18,000 each, so that would have added up to a lot of money. We didn't have that kind of budget. So then I started playing with the wide angle lens, and I was able to use, instead of 4 cameras, I was able to get it down to 1, and I moved it down here on the ramp so that it doesn't matter which way they go. That's why it's way down there. And then I had to decide, do I want to look up to, normally, the truck drives over it and you look at it, or normally the truck drives into it and you look at it. But we found that the stuff falls off the truck, and we don't want to break that germanium. So we turned it around, we got the same image, and this way when stuff falls off, it falls out of the way more. So it kind of helps. And here's the camera in the enclosure with the wide angle lens on it, and here's the enclosure that you couldn't see. But what we did is we put it in a huge concrete box in the ground, so to protect it. And here's what it looks like when it's open. So this is what you saw today. This is what it looks like when I get that motor fixed. There's a little motor on the side here that drives this door back and forth, and it's lasted about a year. So I came up with a new design that gets rid of this top, and it just has the hole in there, and then it has a door that closes. So it gets rid of all the motors and all the sensors that are becoming a problem. So you can see here what it looks like. I put the speed bumps in to control the trucks, to keep them in line over the camera instead of driving off to one side or the other. And then this kind of just talks about the magnetic loop that I talked about down there. So here's that sensor system that we talked about. So the sensors create a light curtain, and because of the light curtain, I'm able to detect every truck and I don't lose them like I do with the magnetic because I don't have to worry about the metal. So visual tracking is what I talked about with the color camera up there. So I got my color camera, I take a picture and I put it in the vehicle record. So the color camera here, it takes a picture. This one takes, infrared takes a picture of the brakes and does the inspection and puts it all together on the screen up here. And I can show you the screen, I just can't run it right now. But this just gives you a diagram of all the parts and it lists them all. So if you're interested in that. Here's what the screen looks like. What I decided was I wanted a screen that was easy to use. The other systems out there, they use infrared pictures and the officers have to look at them. Well, one thing I found when I was doing my research was the officers don't want to look at infrared all day. I mean, it's interesting once in a while, but to sit there for 4 or 5 hours staring at infrared, you know, you're looking at that image all day long, it's just too much. And they had to have special training. So what I did is I translated the infrared into what I call a cartoon. So it just gives me a picture of each one of the brakes, and then it takes and highlights them in a different color if they're bad or not. One of the old systems is a van that uses a helicopter infrared camera turned upside down on a tripod, and you have to sit there with this joystick and you have to try to track the truck as it goes by and look from the side. Well, so I did was I made it really simple. So I made 2 icons. One, they click open. When they click open, everything turns on, the door opens up, the camera comes up out of the ground, and everything starts up. When they click close, it goes back down, everything closes up, and it's done. So that's all I have to remember in using it. So when they click on this, you see if the red bar tells them that there's a bad brake. So what they do is they look up. They don't have to look up unless they want to, and they look up and see a red bar instead of one without a red bar. They know that there's a problem. So if they want to look at it, they click it, the screen comes up, and it gives them the same image, but it also gives them more details. It gives them the temperatures and stuff for each brake. So then they can make an analysis. And then if they want, they can print it out. This gives them a hard copy. We did it in black and white because we don't want to waste money on a printer, color printer. So I had to make it so that it would look good in black and white. So they take this printout with them out there to the trucks when they inspect them. So anyway, that's basically the presentation I'm going to give. This one, these are some additional slides I put in here for you. This kind of tells more about why I didn't want to do that versus this. So this is the same camera. This is taking it from the side of the road, and this is taking it from under the road. And you can see here, this is a warm brake, and this is a cold brake. So in comparison to this versus that, we're making the analysis, so it's pretty neat. And I can also see those, and I can see the tires and stuff. With this one, if I wanted to do both sides, I have to buy 2 cameras. It's a little alarm that goes off. It says it's over height, so the truck's too tall. So that's what I worry about. It goes off all the time. There's just an electronic beam right there that tells the officers that the truck's too tall. So anyway, and some of the other problems I just list here, and you can read those later, but you know, about the reflectiveness and stuff, and why I chose to do it with the underground. You'd asked about how many trucks. Here's the information from the feds from September 15th, 2002. That doesn't make sense. 21-2.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. I just cut and pasted it. I don't know what happened there. So anyway, it just says 1 out of 7.
Okay.
Of 21,250.
So you already sent me a presentation?
Yeah, I can send electronic too.
Okay.
This is more information that just tells about the brakes that I took from, where did I take it from? Bendix handbook. I just thought it was kind of interesting, so I thought I'd give you this stuff so you could look at it.
Okay, thank you.